you doing tonight? Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's feeling good. Come on in here. Get on in here. I'll give you guys a second to get on in here. Hope everyone's had a good day today. It's Monday. It's never the best day of the week, but you got to make it the best day of the week. Got to stay positive. All right. It's going to be a good show tonight. We're going to have fun. Real fun. All right. Hey, hey. Go ahead and get yourself comfortable. Welcome, welcome. We're going to have a good show tonight. Talking again tonight, all right? Now, it's Conspiracy Talk Monday, right? And, with everything going on, I've been watching the news, kind of poking around in different tabloids, kind of just listening, seeing what's going on. All right. So something came across my table that I want to discuss with you guys, right? Okay. So you know how I feel about DARPA, right? You guys know how I feel about how I feel about social engineering and stuff like that. Not one of my favorite traits that our elected officials perpetrate against us, but it does bring me to what's going on right now is when we talk about psyops and social engineering. We talked about how it's coming out of Colombia. We talked about how the cloud pivot strategy is a huge part of this equation and this issue right now, right? Hey, how you doing, Miguel? So I want to dig a little bit deeper into the psyops, okay? Got some good content, some good stuff, all right? Now, I'm not going to call it a psyop. We're going to call it social engineering because that's the correct term. Socially engineering the masses. And in situations like what we're in right now, with all the universities protesting, you got commencement ceremonies being canceled, staff being fired or laid off, students are being hit with rubber bullets or being assaulted out there by police. I mean, it's kind of part of the game with protesting and rioting and what kind of comes with this. Now, I'm not saying everyone's out here rioting. I'm saying the event has taken its own form and it's moving now. And that's not an accident. Yes, we can create these situations, sure. We can, fire up the masses and make them come out and it can go wrong. But there's a special touch when it comes to dealing with us. And when you think about our government and you think about, Project Mockingbird and MK Ultra, it's very possible to control people. It's possible to get what you want out of people, just predictive programming, repetitive information, visuals, and sometimes you get the sound audio of it where you find hidden little sound bars or sound frequencies inside of movies, kind of like Leave the World Behind. So when we talk about how psyops really work, it's very intricate and very detailed in how they play out. Okay. Now, I got some audio bits, I got some videos, and of course, I got my favorite DARPA diagram. Why? Because we're talking about psyops that come out of the Pentagon that are pushed by the Defense Secretary and the President of the United States. Why wouldn't I have my favorite diagram out here today, right? And we're talking about all of this because the Ivy Leagues, Facebook, what else am I missing? Like the 5G theories, the AI that's coming out, the whole HN, QN, and PSYOP. Man, we're pretty much going to discuss all that tonight. Try to keep it within an hour and 30. You guys know I get long-winded sometimes, and I can go for 2 hours. So I'm going to try not to do that tonight. I'm going to make sure that we get through this content and this information, but it's going to be a really, really good show. Okay. All right. Before we get started, I got my link space in there. Don't forget to follow all the pages of the Daily Rabbit Hole. They're all the official. Please don't forget to donate. Anything's accepted. We take stars on Facebook. You can donate on Rumble. Everything is appreciated. It goes to all of this. All right. Now, I'm going to get into this audio bite, but before I do, I'm going to let you know what we're touching on if you're just coming in, okay? We're touching on psyops, we're touching on social engineering, and we're touching on how this is manifesting and playing out in today's times, and that this Ivy League debacle with the anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian protests, I'm not saying that those people don't have feelings. What I'm saying is a lot of times these events are generated by political interests and little social proxy groups that are formed inside of colleges. A lot of times, we talked last week that you can find places like Columbia, Stanford, Harvard, and other entities like that where you have an insulation of socialist ideas, different radical ideas, and they're all college groups. It's all young people trying to find themselves, sure. But a lot of times, if you follow the money, you'll find where the problem's coming from. Okay. Now, I do have, what is that? The Smith-Mundt Act. A lot of people know about the Smith-Mundt Act just because it was repealed around let's say 2012-ish, or during Obama's tenure. Don't quote me on that exact year, but it did happen. And what essentially happens is it makes propaganda legal in all forms of media. Okay. And again, when we look at social engineering, and if you look on this chart right near the Pentagon, you can see where this is kind of happening at, and it's right there with counterinsurgency. So it's all tied in. I'm gonna go ahead and make this large. I'm gonna get to the soundbite. All right, enjoy.
Obama repealed the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which then permitted propaganda to be in broadcasting. It no longer said that it had to be credible.
So in 2013, it was legalized in the United States to propagandize its citizens. What? Like, that's some scary third world stuff going on. That's the kind of stuff that people use to topple governments, to take away freedoms.
Yes, you heard that right. Almost a decade ago, propaganda was legalized in the United States with the passage of the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which you've probably never heard of. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act was buried in the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act for a good reason, because it repealed the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which authorized the State Department and the mainstream media to engage in propagandizing foreign countries, but it prohibited releasing that same propaganda in America for public consumption. This prohibition was lifted when the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act was signed into law by Obama.
Very simply, Obama gave it a reboot in 2012. So no matter how outrageous the propaganda may be, it's completely legal.
All right, I'm back. Now, in 2013, when he appealed it, we can see a lot of different commercials and ads, and even the way the internet operated, we can see the push being what's the word I'm looking for? We can see the push coming through different ads, different content creators, different pages. The memes really pick up around this time. You see a huge change in how the narrative is basically shifted towards the most outlandish claim you can think of, right? And the whole point of that is, in my honest opinion, was to kind of give so much information that it would make the American citizens themselves stop believing in the country. And that's kind of the plan. This is where kind of the psyop for QAnon kind of manifests itself. All right. Now, they say it started years ago. I'm not sure. I know once this 4chan, 8chan thing started happening, I know a lot of people were on that QAnon train. Now, again, the 8chan is on this diagram. Look at the bottom. You see it there right up under the dark web. All right. Sitting right next to 5G and AI. A lot of times you guys have heard me say, I really do believe that the QAnon theory is completely false. It's just two sides of the same coin. And this is what this whole conversation is about right now. Okay. Now, with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and whatever other social media that was small back then that was out, remember at one point things started getting weird on Facebook and Instagram and a lot of other places, right? We started noticing what we would call adult videos, inappropriate videos, snuff videos being shown on Facebook. And this is about 2014, 2015, right? And no one could understand, how is this stuff getting through? How is this stuff getting through? And we speed that up. 6 years later, 7 years later, Mark is speaking to Senate trying to figure out, how is it okay for him to do a psyop when no one else is allowed to do one? And that was the kind of, hey, over here while the trick is going on over here, because LifeLog and Facebook essentially are the same exact thing. All right. Now, DARPA's LifeLog was basically a personality profile, and they were going to use it to basically backdoor and hold all the information on the American people, just kind of a log. But Facebook made it real simple because we were very willing to give it out. Like, we gave all our information away. We were out here telling it what time we were going to the movies. We were telling it who we were with. We were telling it where we were at. And for the last at least 15 years, they've been documenting all this information. They've been understanding what drives us, what fuels us, what makes us tick. And they did all of this through the same social media that I'm talking to you through right now. All right. So never forget the strength and the power of the internet is real, because they can use it against us and we're missing it the whole entire time. Right. You're seeing things and you're like, how's this person talking about this? And this sounds real factual, or it could be like, this sounds ludicrous, but yet it's getting pumped through. But if you say something, you get the axe. That's by design. That's not an accident. They're not governing everybody. They're just policing the necessities. People like myself, other content creators who haven't not been bought out or not industry plants, if you guys believe that. Project Pogo, Project Zypher, we talked about that one too. But a lot of times you see these content creators and they're just boom, hitting off. And I'm always respect to the success. I hope those are real people behind those screens. But from the information that we've all talked about and gone over, it doesn't come off that way. It never comes off that way. Okay. We think it's one thing, but if you peel the layers of the onion back, you can see that bingo, DARPA's in there somewhere. It's clearly social engineering, right? Let's take what's going on for an example right now. You got colleges across the campus, students protesting. Feels like Vietnam again, where everyone's talking about what? Kent State, right? Now, what do you start seeing? They make it to where it's okay that they shoot young people with rubber bullets. Now, I understand the cops got a job to do too. I understand you're going to mace, you got to disperse. But what I'm saying is, when you have that many people in a place, motions fueling, politics being thrown out, clearly there's religion involved. And we have young, bright minds mixed in with infiltrated left and right goons. Even the cops. There are people out there you think are part of the protest, but they're here to cause a problem in the protest. And it happens every time. Now, if you watch your mainstream media, you always notice that they have like the perfect person to talk every time. That's not an accident. Not at all, right? Everything you see is borderline scripted. And when we say scripted, it's hey, they're in, like how I can hear myself, there's someone talking to them. So if I'm on the news, someone's like, hey, we're cutting scene, this is happening right now. What do? They cut away and breaking news. And what happens? You get sucked in and they hit you for about 12 hours with that. And you're just sitting here sucked into this whole ploy and narrative of whatever they're pushing that day. This is how some things slip past everybody. And they're like, how do we not notice? If you go to other media and the agencies and news agencies, they're clearly talking about it. But, depending on who your broadcaster is, or, your cable network or whatever internet you're going through, your program is set up a certain way. And it's set up regionally, globally, internationally. It's just set up differently everywhere for the kind of target audience they're looking for. It's like marketing. Like, they know who they're looking for. They got us all grouped in little sections, and they understand how to pick around and use certain little media gems to get our attention and tug at our hearts. All right. Never be deceived. Always say 9/11 opened the door for the Patriot Act. Once that happened, America's feelings were high, emotions were rising, war was on the horizon. America had been attacked in a way that we had never seen since Pearl Harbor. Okay. And all while the 9/11 conversation is a whole other topic, I'm not going to get into that right now. But, you Yes, DARPA is involved. But when that happened, America was like, yes, NDAA, we passed it. Not knowing we literally signed over all of our privacy, or at least the foundation basis of what privacy was. And from there, you can see the tech boom pick up. You can see social media pick up. You can see the devices pick up. Everything that we took for, we took for granted, excuse me. They basically gave it to us as a tracking monitor. Everything, social media, the new cell phones, because cell phones didn't have screens and you could take the battery out, and there really wasn't a location on there early. You could turn that off and it wasn't that great. Everybody knew that, right? So see how in increments how the privacy was taken from us. See how fast we went from paying attention to them to looking in our hand 24/7. Now our children are looking into their tablets, and you have to combat that because it's a war for the children's minds, right? It's a war for everybody's mind. This is why we call it fifth generation warfare. Fifth generation warfare is clearly information warfare from all levels, from everywhere: social media, radio, newspaper, comic strips, audio input, anything you can think of. They're hitting us. They're just dinging us with all of them, and we're taking it in subconsciously every day and not knowing it. Now, I got a video that I found via documentary on Telegram and went to go look it up on YouTube. It's a very informative video. When I say informative, if you know what you're watching, you understand what I'm talking about. All right. Now, in 2022, the Army put out one of probably their, I ain't gonna front, one of their dopest recruitment videos. I'm not gonna lie, from a visual standpoint, but if you watch the video now, with everything going on, it almost comes off as a precursor. And I always like to say predictive programming, they like to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you the truth in such a way that you won't believe it. And then you'll see it and you'll be like, hey, they made a video about that. Or maybe you don't see it and you digest it and you become maybe somewhat desensitized or numb to whatever's going to come from that. Right? So when I show this video, I got another audio bit. I got some more stuff, but when I show this main video, you guys are really going to understand what I'm talking about. Now, before I get to that, I mentioned something called Project Mockingbird, okay, in the NDAA. This is all tied into that, what I just said, all right? So listen to this, and you formulate your own idea.
Because the newest version of the 2013 NDAA included an interesting amendment. This amendment legalized domestic propaganda on the American public. You heard me right. The newest NDAA wasn't just reauthorizing the indefinite detention of American citizens. It also allowed the U.S. government to legally carry out misinformation campaigns against the citizens of this country. But is this really surprising to anyone? I mean, the corporate media is basically a propaganda arm of the U.S. government anyways, isn't it? Why the need to legalize the use of propaganda when you already have an entire mainstream media establishment lacking to the White House, reprinting government press releases without question? In fact, aside from everything I just mentioned, the Pentagon already spends $4 billion a year to influence public opinion, and the Department of Defense also spends hundreds of millions of dollars on information campaigns in countless countries occupied by the U.S. military. But perhaps even more disturbing than all of this is the fact that the CIA has already been infiltrating the biggest press institutions since the early 1950s. The secret CIA campaign to spread disinformation and false stories to foreign governments during the Cold War. It did this by manipulating the media into focusing on propaganda, sabotage, and subversion. The CIA program consisted of literally paying off editors and reporters at most mainstream news outlets. New York Times, CBS, Time, The Washington Post, Newsweek, AP, Reuters, and countless more. People to this day could still be reading and referencing these articles, not knowing that they're completely fake. And sure, this is more than 50 years ago, but let's face the facts here. Our media is much worse now and has been much more easily compromised now. So how do we know that Operation Mockingbird still isn't in effect? Well, we don't.
Hey, I'm back. put my face up here right quick. Now, again, this is information that has been known. This is not new. This is not unknown. This is literally, you can go find this on the surface level and regurgitate it yourself. I just do it for you because someone has to do it, and hey, there's some truth to it. I try not to give you stuff that I can't necessarily prove. This is stuff that's been talked about for ages. MK Ultra ain't new. Project Mockingbird ain't new either. A lot of these things that we're seeing, like in the last phase of its operation, it's been around for ages. And we can literally tie in what we're watching right now on TV and how they played the George Floyd whole protest and that whole movement, how they did that. You can look at the beginning of the Hamas and Israel conflict. What is it, like the first month when mainstream media was like, they unalived young people, they were decapitating people, and then it came out days later, they were like, oh yeah, that was all a lie. They had to walk it back. This happened. They had to walk it back. So now in this age of technology and people can cross-reference, it's becoming harder to do this. And what you're watching right now is literally the last phase of this whole spill that we've been talking about. Operation and project after operation and project has led us to this. Every operation is tied into each other. Let me put my map back up here for you. Again, always remember, every last thing that you think of is tied. It is a web of events. I keep making those little series and telling you it's the small web of events that we miss until the big thing happens. And then we're like, how did this happen? But if you go back, you'll see a small web of events just creating itself in front of you. And it would have been there the whole time, but you would have never saw it because of your general life. You're in the rat race. You have so much time in the day to get things accomplished. Who has real time to research all of this? It ain't many people. All right. You got to be a dedicated group to just go through information on a daily. And even at the bare minimum, 30 minutes a day. People believe what they want to believe, sure. But there are psyops actively running through your history books, your children's history books, and your grandparents' history books. And none of it's completely true. And none of it's a complete lie. It's missing pieces to the story. Because he who wins the war can tell his story or his history, right or wrong, right? Okay. Now, going back to this diagram, right? As I mentioned, the Ivy Leagues, the counterinsurgency, in the mainstream media, see how those are tied together right now. Because Columbia is always going to get press coverage. Your Ivy Leagues are always going to get press coverage. You're always going to get these things. It happens. But they pick what they want to talk about and understand that the same people that are controlling this diagram are also controlling the news. And the same groups that are controlling the news have names, right? That's a whole other diagram. We're going to get into that one a little later, right? So understand that how this is playing out, it is a trickle-down effect from a hierarchical system. These people like systems and hierarchy. It travels down. If you've ever been in the military, you always respect the hierarchy command. You start with your immediate supervisor, and then you start with your senior NCO, and then you go to the superintendent, and then you go to the commander, and then you go to the wing commander, and you do all of that, right? Right. Okay. It's the same idea with this. This is where we get hierarchy from them. It's their hierarchy we're playing right now. We're just at the bottom and we don't realize it. Like if you look, it says 8chan, we're under that. The whole line. We don't even get a section on our names. That's the only thing we're not invited to. Never invited nothing unless we're on the list for being like militant. The only way you're getting on the list right now. So when you see these, remember, We're at the bottom. We're at the dark web and the 8chans. We're below the AI and the neural uplink. We're being upgraded into the neural uplink now through Starlinks, through Elon Musk's programs. All right. I already told you the Space Force wants the National Guard. Everything is playing out on multiple charts, and we have to be able to focus all on one and notice what's going on. Okay. Now, to get to this really dope video, right? This is the meat and potatoes. Now, when I show you this video, I want you to understand this is a recruitment video for the Army. This is a literal recruitment video, but I want you to watch the subtle images and feelings that you get from it. It's made to tug on your strings, and it's going to make you think of something that just came out in the movies. I know I had to drop a spoiler, but I'm going to show that video too because there's similarities in this recruitment video and this movie trailer, okay?
Hiding nearby.
Start it over. Here we go.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last good night while I get
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
gripping at my skin, the walls of night close in.
but the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
As I wait to say my last goodbye.
These are the Psywar soldiers.
All right. So look, check this out, right? So I see the video was a little choppy. Sorry about that. But let me tell you right now, yes, let me get that on the screen. A recruitment video wasn't the actual fucking theory. Yes, Yes, that is a recruitment video. Give me a second. I'm gonna put the link in there so you guys can see a better version of it. Give me a second. Because there's two of them now. I didn't even know there's two of them. And this one's from, oh, right on time. This is from 4 days ago. This one I just showed you is from 2 years ago, right? Well, okay. Okay, we finna watch the second one tonight. We gonna preview this one tonight because I didn't even know this was in here. I found this one earlier today. Okay. Let me get that link. I'm gonna do you a solid. I'm gonna take that little tracking piece out. Let me find it. Here it is. Yep, I learned something new and make sure you guys don't get tracked. There you go. Look, listen, Cywar. They were recruiting for the psychological department of the Army. That's what they were recruiting for. They're literally telling us they are the tip. That is the tip of the spear. They are literally everywhere. That is the whole point of that video, right? Now, when you watch that video, did it not give you Civil War vibes? Is it crazy? And the whistling, everything that you're watching in that video is strategically to make you feel some type of way, okay? Like the chessboard, all of this stuff. This touches on the black and the white, the black hats and the white hats, the Great Awakening and the Great Reset. Two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the same exact coin, right? Like when we talk about this, you guys have been hearing so much about the black hats and what's going on, and it's like the bad guys, right? And then you're hearing about the Great Awakening, Nasara, the quantum financial system. You're hearing all of this bricks. We're talking about, we're hearing trust accounts with billions of dollars in them right now, right? Billions. This is a psyop. All this is a narrative, and we don't know what's true. There are some truths in here about the trust accounts. There's some truths in there about the black hats. There's some truths in there mixed in with a lot of weird ass narrative. Weird narrative. So we have to understand how to see this stuff through. Okay. Now I got Ghost in the Machine too. This is from 4 days ago. The fourth psyop group. Whoever this group is, should have dug in a little bit more. I didn't think they were that deep when I was looking for them on the basic other web, but I guess I didn't miss this video. So I'm going to pull this up. Hold on, don't you start on me. I wanted to start. This video is 3 minutes long, 4 days old, and people in here are already talking about 2 years to the day since Ghost in the Machine 1. So again, the psyop continues, okay? They do that on purpose. They drop videos the same time. They do things like that, okay? They show you images, predictive programming, movies, news, music, the rap game. I got to touch on this quick part of the rap game right now. What you're watching right now with Kendrick Lamar and Drake is controlled narrative, mind-numbing entertainment. They are pumping out the mind-numbing entertainment because they have to. This is why the beef between them and everyone in the rap game is so huge. And on some other levels that I'm not going to get into tonight. But yeah, there's something to that. There's something to this rap beef that we're watching right now. Okay, now before I get in this video, all right, we're going to go through some comments. Hey, Chris, I haven't seen you in a while. I want to say this, man. Hey, Chris, I hope all is well. I hope you pull through that. I'm not going to put that comment on the screen. I'm just going to say, I wish you the best. I wish you well. Prayers for your family, man, okay? Stay strong, my guy. And I'll say that. All right, I just won't put that on the screen, man. Just respecting you. I understand you put it in the comments, but I'll respect you on that. All right, now I'm gonna share my screen. Let me get that set up. Hopefully we don't have any real issues. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the chat for you too. Wait a second. All right, that's for you guys. All right. That's the second video. All right, Miguel, you thought your mind was blown. All of our minds are gonna be blown together because I haven't seen this video either. I'm amped like you right now. All right, let's pull it up. Here we go. All right, currently sharing screen. There you go.
There are many people in the world who really don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in. Freedom is indivisible. And when one man is enslaved, all are not free.
Modern war has become a struggle for men's minds as well as for their bodies. Today we face an enemy who spends enormous sums of money and manpower all over the globe in an attempt to subvert the thinking of the people of the free world, to confuse, divide, and ultimately to subjugate.
It is a contest unlike any we have ever faced in our history as a nation.
Contest for the minds and hearts of people around the world, all people.
When power corrupts, poetry cleanses. We must never forget that art is not a form of propaganda. It is a form of truth.
Psychologists find that control of emotions can be gained by understanding the stimulus-response pattern. Many everyday things become associated with these primary stimuli, partly by a process called conditioning.
It's a strange, shadowy world. The doctored photograph, the misquotation, the insinuation, and the lie.
I think of fire as connecting the emotions. Cause, effect.
You've got to get a hold of yourself.
We have to work together. You have to help.
We'll light our country and all who serve it. And the glow from that fire can truly light the world.
Yes, in modern warfare, our military leaders are finding that words and ideas are highly effective weapons.
All right. Hey, I'm back. Now, crazy, right? What do you want me to say? It's crazy, right? So this company that's contracted to make these videos are very good at what they do with marketing, tugging at the strings, hitting what's going on in the world, topics and everything, right? Like when we think of social engineering, it's more than just someone saying, hey, we're pushing you this way. Like we want you to do this. It's subtle attacks. It's watching a movie and catching a small snippet of something. Like in the Leave the World Behind, right? There were little gems of information, like the leaflets that they were dropping. How did the leaflets relate to what's going on, right? So in that, they show leaflets, but that's a very old method of propaganda promotion. Right now, it's memes. It's the memes that we're seeing are being used as the propaganda narrative. This is why it infuriates people so badly on certain memes that's meant to trigger something. Like if you guys go on the backwoods, right, you guys notice I do that a lot sometimes, and I just like to see if it's true. And to be quite honest, it is. I can post something. If you go look at the Will Ferrell meme that I posted, kind of poking fun and kind of being sarcastic, viral. Why? What is it about certain images and certain words that tugs at strings of people? How is it that they're able to do this in so many fashions? Like they do it from clothing, toothpaste, toilet paper. We're talking news, meat, anything you can think of. Wrestling, even wrestling will have something to do with what's going on out in the world, and we're all taking it in slowly and surely, and it's slowly desensitizing us to the what's coming down the pipeline, to the end of it all. It's either the Great Reset or the Great Awakening. There is no in between, and that's been my whole thing the whole time you guys have been seeing me on here. Why do I have to pick a side? Isn't that strange? If we're really supposed to be free-minded, free-living people living off the law of the land, the law of the universe, and the law of all this, right? Why would we have to pick a side? Why do we have to pick the lesser of two evils? Why do we have to pick them? I don't lean towards any of them. I just think they have good ideas. They have good ideas on the left, good on the right. My problem is that you're abusing the ideas and making us believe that they're real, but you're robbing us from both sides. And then there's so much psyop and so much misinformation, alternative news, and all of this. We can't tell what's true and what's not true. When something comes on the news, who doesn't sit here and be like, yep. We're all like that now because we can't trust nothing. That was part of the plan. If you take away our belief in our faith, we'll have nothing. We have nothing but our own thoughts and the propaganda and programming that we've been given. Like, there's no way around it, because every day you wake up, you're being programmed. From the day that phone go off and that alarm go off on your phone, you get up, first thing you do, you check your phone. Second thing you're going to go do is probably stretch. You're going to go use the bathroom, and that phone's coming with you. Sometimes. I ain't gonna front. I'm guilty of that sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you. Be in there streaming through and seeing what you guys talk about while I was asleep. We're programmed to see certain images. We're programmed and desensitized so badly in America that we'll watch a person get stabbed to death in the subway and pull out our phone. How sick are we right now to where you can be attacked, you can be assaulted, and they're going to pull out their phone and watch you. They will pull their phone out and get viral likes off of you and watch you take your last breath in the subway and not help you. Come on, man. What are we talking about? Where people are selling themselves for content. Like people, the psyop is so strong right now, right? You can tell somebody right now, without a doubt, Ukraine is losing that war. They will regurgitate and spit out everything mainstream media has told you. But if you really look at the other agencies around the world that have some dignity to tell some truth, they'll tell you Ukraine is struggling right now. Ukraine, it's hard out there right now, man. And NATO is on the ground. NATO is on the ground. It's hard. It's not what you think it is. They're lying to you. Like, here's another one. You think they really told Israel no? I thought that was strange today. I read that. They told Israel no on their ammunition shipment. It could be because the ICC is investigating Bibi and his counterparts, sure. But America's been fairly complicit throughout this whole ordeal. And the whole time they've been complicit, they've been ramping up the protests. The more it gets out of control for them, the more out of control these protests are going to get. I'm telling you now, because as they lose, as they go off the rails, everyone else is going to go off the rails, because if they can't win, nobody wins. And if the PSYOP doesn't work, then guess what? You see all this electricity, they're going to cut it off. You don't believe me? Go look in Kansas. Kansas had another cyber attack. Kansas had one today or yesterday, 100,000 people without services. And I think it's social services, some electricity issues, but I know over 100,000 people were affected. It's happening as we talk. Whatever we're talking about, it's happening. And this is, and someone's giving me good, you guys, hey, love it right now. Raven Rock says, they're begging us to flip the table. If we do, they have the big beast waiting. If we don't flip the table, they destroy it all and still have the big beast on deck. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Because they want us to flip the table. They don't really want to do it themselves because it's going to violate some rules and some regulations in the universe. Trust me, as strange as that sounds, but there's some laws and regulations that you got to abide by on this plane. All right. And while they're bending the laws of the universe to their will through rituals and propaganda and getting us to give off the energy to do this stuff, and again, take it with a grain of salt, excuse me. Understand, it's happening. It's happening. It's all happening. As they lose more control with Bibi in the Middle East, these protests are going to get hotter and hotter every time. And when it hits the fan and they don't get what they want, they're going to cut the lights off. I've already said before, this is what I said. If you sit down for 1 month, no violence, no anger, no burning pitchforks, no guillotines, I will tell you this. You give it 1 month, no working, no spending for real, and I get it. You got to buy toiletries. You might have to do certain stuff, but I tell you, when I say stop spending, stop going to work, sit down 1 month, I swear to you, whole conversation is going to change. They will not survive the financial quarter. They'll be done. If you did it in the beginning of the quarter, it'll be done by the second or third month of the quarter. It's over. There's nothing they can do. If you stop playing the game and stop the paper machine from going, there is nothing that they can do to you. Only thing left for them to do is to knock on your door. And by that point, they've made their choice, right or wrong. They would have made their choice. Stop feeding the machine. This is the point of the video, the ghost in the machine. We are the ghost. The ghost is the spirit of the machine. Go back to iRobot. They talked about that. The ghost in the machine eventually will come out. The spirit will live. We are the ghost, but we have to be real careful because we're dealing with the boogeyman. I'm going to call a spade. Real spade a spade. But if you want to get this over quickly and safely in sound with opening ears of them listening to us, 1 month. One month. They'll be in shambles. There'll be nothing left to do. Nothing. Now, that is the hardest 1 month to get everyone on the same accord. Have you ever tried to get your family to take a picture together? It's difficult, isn't it? Right. Imagine getting 350 million people in America to be like, no. And you know what? We're not going to work today. Do you know what will happen? The markets will plummet. You know why? Because the whole market is backed on us. It's backed on our production. It's backed on our fear. It's backed on our emotions. It's backed on everything that makes us us. The system is running off the backs of us. If you stop feeding it, it will end. And there's no fires, there's no babies crying. Everyone gets their land because we're clearly not overpopulated in America. That climate change thing is a whole entire psyop. I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. Okay. Now we have always been the leverage. They know that. That's why everyone in the world is waiting on us right now. Everyone's like, if we can get the Americans to actually use the firearms the correct way and not on each other, this could be over because America is the hub. It's insulated. It's surrounded by water. It is one island, one big island. It's surrounded. The crown is above us in Canada. That's what they are. Then you have the head, America. Then you have like the stomach lining, and you got South America, in which America, not us Americans, South Americans, if you hear this, people in Central America, Americans have no problem with you. It's not us, it's our leadership. It's your problem too. We have the same exact problem. It's not us. So all you guys you're sending over here, I need y'all to make sure you go look for the right people, because it's 350 million people who, I'm just saying, it's a lot of us here. The problem is not the people. The people are perpetuating the psyop and the psy war. They're perpetuating the social engineering because that's what they're digesting. Every day we're just eating it up. Rat beef, Real Housewives or whatever. What is that on Discovery Channel? Ice truckers, all kinds of reality propaganda. It's shit everywhere, man. You're watching the news and we're just taking in stuff. We're just taking it all in. These psyops are real. This 5G notion is real. I got one more video. Got another video for you. All right. Now, this is General Mike Flynn. This is Boone. I think it's Boone Cutler. Excuse me. All right. Guys were on a podcast. They were talking about 5G warfare. He's also discussing his book, right? But he made a lot of valuable points, and he's explaining what 5G is. All right. Check this out.
Let's have a look.
So, what is fifth generation warfare? Fifth generation warfare is a war for your mind. I mean, at the brass tacks level, it's used by state, non-state actors to really manipulate, your thoughts and your attitudes and what kinds of things you might do without you knowing it. I mean, it's trying to manipulate you without you knowing it, or getting to a place where it's so you are so manipulated that when you finally realize it, it's already done. It's designed to affect all your actions, who you vote for, what social clubs you join, what causes you support, who your perceived enemies are. I mean, one of the things we talk about in the guide is they pit neighbor against neighbor, and your neighbor is not your enemy. 99% of the time, your neighbor is not your enemy. But in this type of warfare, there is a pitting of neighbor against neighbor. I mean, I see it in my own family sometimes, and in families, it's family members against family members. So the goal of fifth generation warfare is really pretty simple. It's to prepare. It's really the adversary's goal, I should say, is to prepare citizens for centralized control by a globalist elite government.
All right. Again, the streaming is a little, I'm going through my browser. Don't judge me. But nonetheless, you got to hear the vocals real clear. I know you did. And, oh, wrong one. There we go. Got to hear the vocals clearly and whatnot, right? So, fifth generation warfare is here. Family against family. That whole Trump-Biden thing, families fell out. Friends fell out. Best friends, 20 years. Ended it. Because they were Trump supporters or Biden supporters. They got y'all really out here breaking up with your family for minute reasons. Extremely minute reasons. Destroy the home, and it's easier to get everybody. This is something known amongst people in poverty, black, white, blue, and brown. Once you destroy the home dynamic, it's over. Once you take the man out the house, or you can distract the woman, the kid is left alone. The kid is susceptible to his technology and his own free inhibitions and will, because that's the whole point. They don't make you do anything. It's free will. but it's subconsciously programmed into you until you go regurgitate it out without you knowing. That is what social engineering really is. As we watch it right now, 2024, we thought 2020 was insane. I'm telling you, November the 5th of November, hey, V for Vendetta, we're going to talk about that one too. So for me, I'm telling you now, you have to wise up. Turn it off. Go work out. Go get you some sunlight. Go read a book. I don't care what the book about. Just make sure the book is about something that makes your brain cords touch each other, your synapses connect, and you put something together. Because right now, what you're being fed, it's slop. It's just like the food we're eating. It matches everything. Ain't nothing gonna change until we say, hey, I don't want this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. And until we say that, we're going to be stuck here. We're going to be stuck right here. So here's what I'll leave you guys with, right? Before I get out of here, this is what I'll leave you with. Social engineering is real. Social engineering is happening, and people are regurgitating it right now. Your truth community is probably infiltrated. If you think organizing is the best bet right now, I found a report that I'm gonna do some content on tomorrow. I'm gonna tell you now, Facebook says they have over 200 million people trying to pair up right now on Facebook on some malicious stuff. Y'all done already messed up. I'm gonna tell you that now. Facebook is the worst place to pair up ideas and leave it there. We got to have a better set of communication that's really encrypted and not owned by the same entity that we're trying to get away from. Because if you think that DoD contract with Oracle, Microsoft, Google, Yahoo, and they got bought out and all the phone companies was nothing, sure. I bet you in the next 6 months, they're gonna have earbuds that read your brain sensors. And the only reason I say that because I found that video and they've been talking about that. It reads your brain sensors. Get ready, people. They're gonna start dropping heavy frequencies into everything. Your music is already prayed over by some weird satanic group if you want to go there. Now I'm telling you now, the music you're listening to is on the wrong frequency. It's completely wrong. I think it's supposed to be like 440 and not 432. You can Google that. It's like 440, I believe. It could be 432. I could be wrong. It's one of those two. One of them's the wrong one. I feel like it's the 432 we shouldn't be on. Brain sensors in the earbuds, which I'm sure they're doing with the AirPods and Apple now because Apple's just crooked like that and weird. They're already reading your heart monitor with your watch, your heart and all that. They're reading your distance in your phone with Google. If you don't take the question mark out of your link when you share it, that link and then the first question mark and after that is the tag ID. Take it out. They're tracking you. And yes, Miguel, he is absolutely right. AirPods fry people's brain. Without a doubt. I try not to get comfortable with stuff with Bluetooth stuff like that. Yeah, they love the scent. Keeps the common law enforcement valid. That's true. I'm just telling you guys, man, it's happening. I don't know how much more content I need to show you. Tonight, if you don't see it, I don't know what to tell you. When you watch this, I want you to start looking at everything from football, basketball, baseball. There's all kinds of symbolism sitting in it. If you go watch your favorite cartoon with your kid, I bet you start seeing the symbolism. If you go watch a Disney movie, man, good luck. Good luck. I wasn't going to bring them into it, but they're the biggest perpetrators of propaganda and social engineering. So why leave them out? You guys have a good night. I want you to remember, PSYOPs are real. DARPA, DOD. Pay attention. Everything we're watching right now, okay? All right. You guys have a great night. Don't forget to donate. Don't forget to go like all my social pages. And you guys have a great night.